Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone is having a good week. Well, start of a good weekend after a bumpy week in the markets. So let's just take a look at the Defiance and YieldMax ETFs for a little bit. Unfortunately, Defiance, they still haven't updated their website at the time of this recording, so sorry about that. So this is based off of Thursday's numbers for Defiance. For YieldMax, they were able to update it as of like Friday's close. So I think maybe, hopefully on tomorrow's Defiance summary, maybe we can get an updated look. So at least for YieldMax, I was kind of surprised to see there wasn't that much of a discount for most of the ETFs. I think with the exception of PP, that's probably like the most decent one. So I was expecting to see like after a pullback, maybe more discounts on some of these ETFs, but unfortunately, no. So in fact, even for like some of the other ones, like just taking a look at MSTY, it's actually trading at a premium, so that's kind of surprising. But anyway, so hopefully this is helpful. I'm going to switch back to the regular dashboard. I mean, well, I guess like the regular summary for those of you that are returning. For those of you that are new, I try to recap like the YieldMax ETFs, just to kind of get a sense of like what happened. And I usually use a spreadsheet just to see like the breakdown between cash, options, and treasuries. But let me just bring up like the like another dashboard that I was working on. I'm hoping that in the future, I guess once I get enough subscribers, maybe I was thinking maybe like 1,001, just to see if I can, get this channel off to a good start. Because right now, unfortunately, there's not enough maybe subscribers to kind of make all this work worth it. But let's just take a look at like APLY, for example. So when we take a look at like APLY, always keep in mind like the information and like the dates, they're kind of on a lag. So there's at least like a 1 day lag for the dates. So for example, like what I'm showing you is April 16th, but it's really the close of April 15th data. And you'll see like later on, like for example, like obviously Monday hasn't happened, so this is using like April 19th data, but that's just the way their spreadsheets work. So let me just like go day by day, and you can see aptly they're losing assets, and then suddenly they gained assets, and they also, like the value of the assets also went up. So it's been kind of like a up and down, and now they're starting. Well, surprisingly for aptly, like they went back up in terms of like the net assets. Now, in terms of like price, like you can see like it's been kind of all over the place. So this is why I think like the just like going through like the asset values and like the like the difference, like where it's heading. This could be helpful in the future for like when I get enough subscribers, and then we can kind of like go through like all of these at the same time. But I guess for now, this will be just to kind of give people like a sense of where I would like this channel to go. And then let's take a look at like kind of like everybody at the same time. And as you can see, like MSTY is just like the standout in terms of like the overall number of assets like that's coming in, and so on and so forth. And then you can also see kind of like the composition change over time. So like MSTY right now is pretty cashed up, so in a way that's good. So let's take a look at, oops, sorry about that. I don't know if I want to show this just yet, but maybe this will come in handy in the future, just to show like the net assets and the shares outstanding. And then let's take a look at like the asset value and the close. So for at least for APLY, it's hugging like fairly tight. So you're probably not going to see that great of like a premium or discount. Although like I would say for the end of like this week, like it actually trading at a small premium to what it's actually worth. So it's kind of interesting kind of to see, even with like a pullback, people are, I guess like they're still holding on strong. So that could be a good thing. So let's go back to the spreadsheet. Unfortunately for AIYY and probably most of these ETFs, like it's like, the share prices slid down, but at least for the cash, like last week ended off of like negative $5, but then like at least for this week, like at least per share, like the cash is up to 42 cents, and then options went from a positive debit. So at least like for the start of this new week, they're gonna get 73 cents like credit to start. So hopefully they get monetized some of that. Treasuries, unfortunately, I mean, wow, that's a big slide from $17 down to 11.75. So that's quite unfortunate for AIYY. AMDY. So this one's, I mean, it's not great, but it's just holding on a little bit better. 1796 to 1625 is not, it doesn't feel good, but it is what it is. The cash went from 78 cents down to 54 cents. The option premium actually went up from $4 to $5.98 to start the week. So hopefully, again, they can capture a good chunk of this. The treasuries actually went from 21.22 to 21.69, which is pretty interesting. Then AMZY went from, okay, so this one's not too bad either. 23.39 to 22.13, and then like the cash went from 64 cents down to 29 cents. Unfortunately, options went from a debit of 12 cents, and now they're starting the new week at $1.29. So hopefully they can capture some of this. And then Treasury actually went up, which is interesting. Went from 22.62 to 23.12. Let's take a look at APLY again. So as you can see, the share price slid down, and then the cash went from negative 18 cents up to 30 cents. The options went for 57 cents, and then now starting the new week at 49 cent credit. So hopefully again they can capture some of that. Treasuries went from 16.62 down to 16.32. And let's take a look at CONY. So CONY at least is still at a decent profit, even though it went from 25.89 to 22.63. Everything got hit, unfortunately, including crypto. But it looks like for cryptos, they're holding on to like the gains. Also, happy, I guess, April 20th. Well, I mean, I guess there's a lot of memes out there, and then there's also the Bitcoin halving, so that could be a good thing, unless people like are selling the news. But so far, it's holding up fairly well. So cash went from $1.82 to 80 cents, and then options went from 97 cents. It's actually pretty juicy now. Like the credits is now like 542. So again, hopefully they can capture a good chunk of this. Treasuries went from 25.05 to 27.25. Let's look at DSIO or Disney. And so, okay, so it's not too bad. I guess this is a little bit more defensive, at least for now. So 20.46 to $20.30. So cash went from $2.73 down to $2.19. The options went from $1.04 to $1.40. So okay, so hopefully they can monetize like slightly more credit. Treasuries went from 1877 up to 1951. And so let's take a look at Phoebe. Again, this one is holding up slightly better than most. 21.91 down to $20.96. So cash went from $1.13 down to 69 cents. And then the options went from 54 cents up to $1.92. So again, hopefully they can capture more of this credit. The treasury went up from 21.31 to 22.19. Then you got GOOY. Let's went from 17.55 down to 17.22, and then the cash went down, unfortunately, from $1.37 to 57 cents. Options went down in terms of the debit from 81 down to 35, and then the treasuries went from 15.38 to 16.30. Let's take a look at JPMO. Well, surprisingly, this one was one of the few ones that actually went up a little bit. So 1985 up to 1991, the cash actually went up too, so that's good. $2.70 to $2.84. The options went from a credit of $1.75, so slightly more credit for the start of the new week at $1.87. And then the treasuries went from 1890 up to 1894. So let's scroll up a little bit. So modernity went from $20.30 down to 1979. The cash went from 99 cents up to $1.93, and then the credit went from $1.06 up to $2.08. So that's good. So hopefully they can capture most of this. Treasuries went down, unfortunately, from 2036 to 1995. Take a look at MSFO. So again, this one is holding up fairly well. $21.99 down to 21 bucks. So cash went from 207 down to 54 cents. And then options went from 18 cents up to $1.36. So again, hopefully you get some of this credit. Treasuries went from $20.10 up to $21.82. So let's take a look at Netflix. Unfortunately, the market didn't like their earnings, so it's a bit of a slide from 1825 to 1678. Cash went from 99 to 63 cents per share, and then the options went from 50 cents up to $2.28. So again, hopefully you can capture more of this credit from more of the volatility. Surprisingly, treasuries went up from 1776 to 1843. So hopefully they can eventually recover. Even NVIDIA is not immune. They've been getting hit too. So they went from 26.54 to 23.17 cents. Cash actually went up from 46 to 90 cents. Now the good part is, I guess, with more volatility, the options went from $1.06 up to $4.65. So again, hopefully they can eventually monetize some of this. Treasuries went from 27.14 down to 26.92. And then, well, sadly for OARK, it's going from 12.12 to 11.08. The cash went from 69 down to 24 cents. Options went, the amount collected for the credits went from 91 to 2009 cents. So again, hopefully we can capture some of this. Treasuries went from 12.34 to 12.93 over the course of the week. And then let's take a look at PYPY. Again, this one is holding up fairly well. It went from 1883 to 1842. And then the cash went from $1.41 to $1.14. So options went from credit of 11 cents up to 80 cents collected. So then treasuries went from 17.52 up to $18.08. Let's take a look at Square. Okay, so Square got tagged a little bit too. So it went down from 23.14 to 21.45. The cash went up. Went down from $1.23 to 50 cents per share, and then the options went from the credit of $1.02 to $2.96. So again, probably the only upside of all this volatility is more credits. So the treasuries went from 22.93 to 23.91, and well, unfortunately, Tesla is whatever it is. Tesla's. Yeah, hopefully the next earnings, they can do better, but I guess the market's probably not anticipating anything good. There's a lot of negative headlines, unfortunately. But I'm kind of indirectly in this, so I'm unfortunately a Tesla holder right now. So I'm gonna just slowly nibble here and there, and then eventually maybe call it off, but who knows. So cash went from 39 cents down to 35. The options went up nicely in terms of credits potentially collected from 30 cents up to $2.43. But I guess just brace yourselves if you're in this one. Treasuries went from 15.23 to 15.44. So and then XOMO, surprisingly, well, it's not too bad. I mean, I guess it's oil, so anything that affects the Middle East is gonna hopefully have a positive impact. I guess this would be considered kind of more defensive. So it went from 1839 slightly to 1832. The cash went from $1.81 down to 45 cents. The options went from debit of 2 cents down to well, I guess like for the start of new week, I guess it's better to have some credit, and then hopefully they can collect some of this. Treasuries went from 16.56 up to $18.08. And then MSTY, even that's not immune, but at least like the Bitcoin stuff is holding up fairly well. It's still a decent profit. I mean, went from 35.59 down to 29.15. The cash went from 34.94 down to 22.73, which is still pretty good. The options, interestingly enough, went from a credit of $6.31, and then so now they're starting the new week at a 19-cent debit. The treasuries went from 6.86 down to 6.24. Well, and then there's ULTY. This is kind of like another unfortunate one. Went from $17.10 down to 14.22, and then the cash went from 14.51 down to $12.97, and then the options went from a debit of 14 cents to a credit of 64 cents. So again, hopefully they can capture some of that, and then the treasuries went down from 2.45 to $1.89. So just brace yourself, guys, in case well, I guess if we get down to like a 10% correction, it's not the end of the world. This way, like some of the weak hands can kind of maybe learn a lesson, and then maybe not to use so much leverage, and then the rest of us, well, hopefully we can recover over time. So I still think like we're like the course of the year, it should still be okay. It'll be bumpy, of course, but things I think should be okay. But again, with anything, always use stops or some type of like position sizing. Well, I'm sure most of you already have some hedges too, so if you have to monetize those, and then eventually if you see like something that you like at a decent price, then go for it. So that's what I plan to do. And well, no matter what you do with your money, like I hope you're making some. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.